And welcome in everyone to Wreckem247.com, and that means you are on the Wreckem247.com weekly recruiting update. I'm Zach Long. This is Daniel Pauling. Once again, he is full of information. We're going to start this show, Daniel, with a little bit of basketball news. Coach Smith doing some damage.
Absolutely. Jordan Jackson, perhaps y'all may know him as Cheryl Swoops' son. He committed on Saturday night, had dinner at Coach Tubby Smith's house. They talked for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and he's like, hey, I feel comfortable here. This is where I want to be. Let's go ahead and join the team. He comes out of Houston. He's a three-star shooting guard, 6'3", 175 pounds, averaged 14.2 points, 5.3 rebounds a game last year, kind of filled up the stat card. And his coach was very complimentary. He said, look, he could score 20 points in a game and we wouldn't notice. He's such a natural scorer, an athletic scorer, that he's going to be able to pour in those points. Definitely a big get for Coach Tubby.
I'm sure he'll have the support of the old Lubbock crowd when they get a legacy in there of Cheryl Swoops' nature. Now on the not so good news but could be good news front, they lose a recruit, but that opens some doors up for maybe a couple other kids.
Absolutely. Just this afternoon, Kaiser Gates announced he was committing to Xavier. Essentially it came down to Texas Tech and Xavier. He was also considering Missouri, but if he wanted to get one of those scholarships available, he had to commit to one of those two right now. Gates was 6'7", 190 pounds, three-star small forward out of Atlanta. But with one scholarship left, that means the two kids who are making their official visits this weekend, Wendell Mitchell, who is a shooting guard out of Rockdale, Texas, and C.J. Williamson, who's a 6'6" point guard.
That's a big point guard.
That's a big point guard out of Orlando. Those two guys are going to kind of be competing. I think C.J. Williamson might be leading, just kind of in that race, but that's just a little bit more speculation. I haven't gotten a chance to talk to Wendell that much. C.J.'s kind of choosing between Virginia Tech and Texas Tech, the two techs. So
Coach Smith out there getting a lot of stuff done before the season even tips off for the Red Raiders. That's kind of got to be a nice confidence thing for once.
Absolutely, and they only had, I think they're only going to have two scholarships available. Obviously, Jordan took one.
Right.
If CJ or Wendell or someone else commits early next week, they could be done. But hey.
There we go. And if any of you didn't notice, it is football season, and we do have some football news to discuss with you. Red Raiders get a commit this week.
Yeah, last Saturday night, Courtney Wallace made his commitment to Texas Tech. He is a 6'2", 309-pound defensive tackle out of Monroe, Louisiana. Tried to get in touch with him, but unfortunately, more serious matters happened. An F2 tornado went through Monroe, Louisiana. Lots of damage. I think it was Monday afternoon or so. They spent that morning trying to get kids, out of school, get them home about 11:15. So it's been a little bit of a challenge to get in touch with Courtney, and hopes are definitely prayers out to everyone out in Monroe with everything that is going on.
Absolutely. And at the Monday press conference this week, Daniel, you did some digging and found yourself a little tidbit from Eric Morris, didn't you?
Eric kind of gave a nice little note. He mentioned they wanted to add about 3 or 4 more wide receivers this recruiting class. They have 10 players committed right now. Plan to get about 20 or 22 total in this class, which means maybe 4 of the 10 or 12 remaining players are going to be wide receivers. Obviously, last weekend was a big one. Tyron Johnson came in, Carlos Strickland came in, A.D. Miller came in. All of them seemed to enjoy their visit. They didn't tweet out, hey, Tech is a horrible place, I'm never coming back to Lubbock, it's just a bunch of tumbleweeds. So that is a positive. Tech will have a 3-star wide receiver out of California coming in, Tony Brown. He'll be coming in for the Oklahoma game for an official visit, so that's definitely a name to keep an eye on. Trent Irwin out of California, he also named Texas Tech in his top 5. Arizona State and Stanford are leading for his services, but hey, Tech is in there. He caught for about 4,000 yards plus in his high school career, so definitely a big guy.
Good name.
A big name right there. Tech also is chasing 2 JUCO wide receivers, D.D. Westbrook and Isaac Whitney. Definitely 2 guys to keep an eye on. Whitney is from Riverside Community College, where
a few Red Raiders have came from Riverside.
Right, where Cheverini was coaching last year. Westbrook had a Texas Tech offer out of high school, went to Blinn Junior College. So, we'll see if Tech can pick him up the second time around.
Pretty amazing, Daniel, when you think about the depth that Tech has at wide receiver right now on their football team. Mm-hmm. They don't lose a ton, so maybe a little indication there of where Tech feels they're at with their wide receiver talent.
Definitely. I mean, you look at the depth chart, it's mainly, freshmen and sophomores. Right. Bradley Marquez is going to be done after this season, and Jakeem Grant's only a junior. He's going to be coming back. So definitely a lot of younger guys at wide receiver.
Going to be interesting. And speaking of interesting, of course, Texas Tech plays KU in what fans are hoping isn't an interesting game on Saturday, but they are going to have a big visitor there, aren't they?
Unofficial visit from Eli Howard. He's a 2-star strong side defensive end out of San Angelo Central High School, kind of a local kid, going to be making the trip up. Texas Tech made first contact with him October 8th over Twitter. Hey, we like your stuff. Come on out. Story behind him, he was a quarterback until his sophomore year, so he was a 6'3", 220-pound quarterback.
That's a big boy.
But Tech, made the decision, hey, his high school coach said, hey, look, we have another quarterback in the system. Why don't we go ahead and try at defensive end? And it worked pretty well. He had 5 sacks, about 36 tackles last season as he was kind of getting adjusted to the position. Through 6 games this year, 5 tackles, about 5 sacks, 35 tackles overall. Leads the team in tackles for a loss. So he's definitely made it a pretty good showing right there.
And unfortunately, the way it's been recently, Daniel, just not a lot of kids from this region of Texas that are Division I recruits and are of Tech's interest as well. So that tells you maybe the respect that the coaching staff has for that young man.
Absolutely. I mean, he's got offers from a couple of offers, North Texas, Stephen F. Austin, and he's getting looked at by TCU, Texas. So he's getting a lot of interest from schools, but not too much on the offer front just yet. But he said he wants to play in the Big 12. He grew up a Longhorns fan, but he's willing to play at any Texas Big 12 school. He's happy. Hey, if it's Tech, he's happy here.
There you go. But nice to see the Red Raiders out there recruiting a little bit hyper-local at one point in time. And, hey, wherever they can get the help, they need it right now if they want to turn the corner and erase some of the foul taste that we have in our mouths right now from this football season. But, hey, you shouldn't have a foul taste from the amount of recruiting information you just received from Mr. Pauling. Please go find him on Twitter. Find him on Wreckem247.com. Full comprehensive coverage of all things Texas Tech recruiting. That is what you get with Daniel Pauling. For now, though, you get to say goodbye to us. We're done with the Wreckem247.com weekly recruiting update. That's Daniel Pauling, if I haven't made that abundantly clear. I'm Zach Long, and you're on Wreckem247.com.